You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom!
That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that.
Boom!
That's exactly it.
I knew that was going to happen.
That's exactly it.
Woo!
You know what? I was thinking about something, Chris Stone, and that people in sales have gotten like too polite. Like I've used that little, what's it going to take to get you into this guy today? Huh? Like I use that. I would love to hear that now. Like it's things have gone so far the polite way. You know that you have so many options now. You know, people think when sales, you got to give them more options, let them choose. You know, sometimes after a hard day, I just want to be told what to do. This is what we're eating. It's true. It's like sometimes I'm here. Do you ever get this call? I'm at the store. What do you want for dinner? And what I want to say, I don't say this because
better.
I'm not an idiot. Yeah.
That's
but
right.
what I want to say is that's your job.
Ooh, you'd never want to say that.
Right. But I want to say, that's kind of your responsibility. I've never in my life, have you ever said this really, like your wife created something for you and you said, this sucks. Like, have you ever done that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You have? You're a better man than I.
Yeah, I'm lucky to still be married. She's a wonderful woman. But I tell you what, here's a little trick. Here's a little pro tip for you. When you get asked, because I've learned this. Now it might not work with Shach. It definitely works with Sonia. And that is, she will ask me because the truth is, if you're thinking about your customer, that they are so sick and tired of doing it and trying to come up with something and pleasing you or whatever. So they want you to give them what you want to have for dinner. So I immediately go to something that I know is complicated, that she'll never be able to cook in that doesn't have any of the ingredients, would have to go to the store, all of that. And I'll come up with, oh man, I really love this dish. And you come up with what is a really complicated dish that you love. And you get that compliment out there that you appreciate that. But then she's like, oh, I don't have that. What about this?
Oh,
and I go, yes, that's great. That's a great
So
idea.
what's your go-to, what do you what I'm really in the mood for is chicken coq au vin. Just something like that,
It's coq au vin.
Oh yeah, when you
no,
say it en français, it sounds so much.
Oui. That's it. That's all I know.
It's like that. Remember from last week, our Apriel?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's not at all how she pronounced her name, but you took that and ran with it, which was beautiful.
Well, the thing is, along those lines, so I met a guy this week, a new person. By the way, if anybody wants to chime in to this useless banter, feel free.
Don't be a chicken.
Don't be a chicken. I met a guy, so his name is John. John something. Maybe I ought not to give his last name, but he goes by Johann, which is like the German way to say John, which is so much more interesting. And so, of course, it encouraged me to ask about him. And so I found out his whole heritage, where he's from, and back and forth with this whole thing. And I thought to myself, this guy's successful in what he sells because he's figured out how to use his name to differentiate himself, which is, by the way, my uniquely excellent way of segueing into introducing our next guest. We need to do a video of just all the different unbelievable introduction segues.
Just a master class.
Yeah, it's just a master class. Because this week we happen to have, and it's a bonus, it's like she's become a friend, and we'll talk later about how we met.
Oh, yeah.
But an expert, and actually teaching me for many years, I thought the whole idea of branding was just a big hunk of malarkey. And it's not often you get to use the word malarkey, but I find it's actually the differentiator between failure and success in business. It's that important. So I was pleased that she was willing to come onto this show to deal with the likes of Chris Stone on this special day. So without any further ado, please help me welcome my good friend and branding expert, Lisa Raquel Weltsch. Woo!
Raquel. Oh, I got
gosh.
a Raquel in there. Okay, first of all, a couple of things. What did you say, Chris, about the dinner concept? Because that was very passive aggressive on the phone when somebody calls you and you said, you got to just be careful. You had a motive there. So I was just thinking about it as you were talking.
Well,
right?
my number one motive is to make sure that I stay married. That's the number one motive, right?
Okay,
and
so you're looking
when
out
she
for
says,
your best interest.
That's right. When she says what you want to have for dinner, and I don't feel like coming up with what I want for dinner because I really don't care. I just give her something super complicated, but wrap it in a compliment.
Oh, no, I got it. But see, that's passive aggressive. So she might, since she knows you, anyhow, I'm just reading into it a little bit. Now let's go over to the malarkey word. You were just talking French, Dan. Malarkey. If vous parlez français, you have to use the accent. I mean, I don't know. You guys were kind of playing off of it. I do speak French.
Yes, because after all, je m'appelle Daniel Jourdan, le fils de Henri de Paris. That's how I get all the chicks.
Okay, the chicks or the checks.
All right. Do you see that? She's working.
That's
okay,
nice.
but
well, I know.
So the whole branding aspect of it with that guy, with Jourdan, actually works. So here's the deal. So first of all, explain how we met.
Okay, let me see.
If you remember.
Dig back, and I remember us meeting at a bourbon and I can't say that word, bourbon and banter or some sort of event. Was that correct? I don't remember the name. It was a bourbon. There were breakout rooms in a very casual setting, and it was really, I was really inspired. I mean, honestly, Dan, you smitten me.
Oh, smitten, dear. Okay, look at that.
Without speaking French?
What? No. Just
smitten. It's like Louis Vuitton.
Well,
so I was speaking at a local event, and there was breakout, and it actually was fairly successful. There was triple digits people there.
And I brought one of my VIPs, Kristen Andre, and I guess she knew you. So I mean, I feel like we had some synergy. But
So in terms of this, and so when I was there speaking, and this is, we'll break into something that you can teach us. When I was there speaking with other things, there was other people to pick from, and people, we gathered a pretty decent group. But after that speech, you decided on which one of those people, or maybe multiples, if you wanted to continue the relationship or not. And so there was something I said or something I did, and you explained to me afterwards, that's your brand. The thing that's attracting people is your brand. So when if someone owns a restaurant or I guess any kind of retail establishment, how does somebody get themselves from just being the local yoga? Did I say yoga? Yeah, the local yoga Pilates place to the local yoga Pilates place that attracts, that becomes the place that people want to go?
That's a giant question.
Well, let's call the layup here.
Okay, I got it. I'm going to try to see how I can break that down. But starting back with your conversation and me identifying you, first of all, you understand the idea of being a personal brand. So, Dan, when you, because you get it, it makes it very easy for you to be authentic, communicate your messages, very, very clear about what your offerings are, and really clearly what your differentiator is. And whether it's a personal brand or a business, there's still the same philosophies and still the same sort of structure. And what we try to do is, we're kind of jumping over into the idea of branding and really talk about Street Studio and what we try to do, but understanding what makes you different, who your market is, the energy of your brand, every brand, and the energy comes in the form of visuals, your website, your communications, your tools, your consistency, how you communicate. And I think businesses that get it. They will hit the nail on the head. They understand that their core difference, their value proposition, who they are as a company, who they're targeting, and what their differentiator is. Really, it's kind of niching down, if you want to use that term. It's very difficult to be all things for all people, but once you start identifying who you're talking to and why it's important and why choose you. I mean, certainly, why choose you, Dan? You are charismatic. You are sincere. You are energized. You bring life to the room.
All right.
And
listen, it's you can't talk about me because then that's all we'll talk about.
I understand that.
That's all I'll talk about. So for a viewer out there, for someone like, where does somebody start?
Well,
because you said a couple things. Do they start with who they think they are, or do they start with the customer that they want to serve? Okay.
They start by calling my team at Street Studio. And I know it's a segue into talking about, that's my sales pitch. But honestly, what we do for businesses, so where do they start? You could be a startup, because we work with a lot of startups, a lot of startup restaurants, for example. We've been lately doing a lot of brand refreshes. Those are people that may have been open for 5 or 10 years or 3 years, and they never went to this, started from the beginning and actually thought about, who is my market? What is my message? What are my core values? What's my mission statement? Going back to something as simple and basic as that. We bring it down to the foundation. And I want to say that because that's really, we feel that branding is really the foundation for all your sales and marketing. So it's a triangle. You and I, Dan, want to kind of debate the sales, the value of sales. But
I want to ask. So how does somebody? So here I am. I have a yoga shop, and yes. So tell me. Oh my God,
you're saying our website before we're doing a refresh right now, but that's okay. Okay, go ahead. Yoga shop. Go ahead.
Yeah. Once I call you, like, what's the first question you're going to ask me?
Okay. Well, that's a very good question. So let's back up. Our process is that we do start with a questionnaire. It is on our website. In fact, since you're on the website, do you mind who's scrolling there? Is that you, Chris, or is that Dan?
That's me.
If you want, scroll to the top. I'll just go where we start. At the top where it says let's collaborate, that is our questionnaire, and it's often where we start. And basically, I want to gather information about you. Who you are, how are you doing your marketing, what size company, what's your budget. So this is sort of an in-depth spot, but then the next step would be a phone call. And in the phone call would be more of I would call that an intro call with me. And then we would break it down. What are your goals? And then I start to sort of listen to clues.
Okay. So let's do this because I want to make this most helpful for the audience. Okay. So let's role play. Okay. All right. Okay, so I am a local. Now, do you do mostly retail or service companies?
I would say we're a dynamic company, so we definitely service a number of industries. I'd say our core focus industry would be restaurant, hospitality, and service industries. I would say real estate and real estate services. We have a lot of real estate clients, real estate service clients, commercial real estate, as well as residential, as well as professional services, insurance, financial planners. So those would be more B2B.
Okay, so I'll pick one if that's okay. I'll pick.
Start with the yoga. I love that because that's my fitness is my space. I had a dance studio, so I know that space really well. So
fitness, yoga shops, Pilates shops, whatever. So I will. I'm a kickboxing place.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. So I'm a new kickboxing place. I don't know why I chose that. I was in. Okay. Because I'm watching.
Awesome.
They're fun things to watch on YouTube. And here's the, I'm really good at what I do. We've got a few clients that I'm getting started with, but I'm fighting with competition to get them to come with me.
Okay.
So here I am. I'm just starting out. I'm new to the market. What do you? And I called you.
Okay,
and
you are new to the market. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of questions there. Basically, understanding who your market is. I mean, that's
Okay,
gonna be
good.
number one.
So how do I
What
find
is
it?
what makes you different than the kickboxing place down the street or the gym down the place?
Yeah, I don't
There's a
know.
diff-
Okay.
Okay,
So
those
hold
are
on.
gonna
I'll answer. Okay. The answer is I don't know. I'm good at what I do, but I really have no
Okay.
brand.
Okay, well, so part of that discussion will be identifying what makes you different. For example, if your bigger competition, let's say, is LA Fitness because they're right across the street, what might make you different is that you are you have smaller classes and that you're a specialized studio, let's say, and there are people that want more one-on-one training and they don't want to be distracted by being in the gym. There are people that don't go to the gym, or they go to gym for certain reasons. So if you've got a kickboxing if kickboxing is your core, then understanding what makes you different, and we'll have to that may unravel it during our question.
Okay, well, so that's exactly okay. This is great because listen, we're going to be coaching each other back and forth on this. Okay.
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 Very good.
So here's the deal.
I'll take it.
And I know what.
I'll take it, Dan. Come on.
Okay.
I'm just
Yes.
kidding. We're
So
kickboxing here. Boxing.
So you asked me what's different about myself. If I'm the business owner, the hell do I know?
Exactly.
And the hell do I care? And so I'm just making out, you know who I am? I am the guy who wants more customers. So I'm thinking the question that I would like to be asked if I'm starting a business is, who do you want to do business with? Like, who is your customer?
Well, we'd have to identify that.
If that was your question to me, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm pretending you asked me that question.
Okay.
And then you could take it where you want to go with it. I want a 42-year-old woman who is recently divorced, wants to get into better shape. I'm making this stuff up, obviously.
I know.
Who lives within 5 miles of the shop and has a lot of money.
Okay.
Has
disposable income in order to take care of these.
Yeah, and I guess my thing is $150 a month. So that's my price point. That's my package and all that. So if I know that customer,
then your messaging needs to be directed towards that customer. It needs to. You'd identify the customer. So now you're dealing with a female. So you might craft it to tailor the messaging, create the message that would attract that person. Plus, then now I'm jumping over to marketing, but creating the core values and the foundation so it's consistent across your entire platform, all your email, your social media, all your messaging. Then we now may jump into targeted ads because you've already identified who your ideal customer is. That can also be targeted on social media. But really going back to your brand, you have to understand your brand values, understand who your market is, what makes you different. Craft the messaging that is designed from that place. Because, for instance, if you do it for everyone, you're not going to necessarily get that one client. But if it's a female that falls into that category, you want to talk about it being spa-like.
Yeah, see, so we're on the same page. By the way, this is great. I feel like we're at the Rosh Hashanah dinner. We're just arguing with each other. By the way, if people don't know, if you're watching this live, this is Yom Kippur. It's like the holiest of holy days. And we're renaming this show Two Bad Jews and Chris Stone.
Oh, you have to be really careful with that, Dan.
Don't say my name. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Just
now
we're out of the closet, Dan.
Oh, that's out of the closet. That's right. Yeah. Well, listen, there's not enough room in that closet.
Okay. I know. Okay. So if you want to, let's take this, keep going about this.
Well, so I think this is great. So I think personally, it's kind of selfish to choose your own brand because who cares? And it's dangerous because let's say, for instance, you want to serve, you're a landscaping company and you want to service people in your general geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do all this advertising for people in your geographic area, you point a circle around where you are, and you say, we are locally owned and we're all this and we're here in the neighborhood. But if you look around your local area, people have, gravel, for grass. They don't have any grass.
Okay.
They're not into it.
Really,
so who cares what your brand is? Because there's nobody to buy it.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, then you might have to switch markets, but you have to really, as a business and as a brand, you're identifying a problem that you are trying to solve. You're not necessarily selling a service. You're not, the byproduct is the service. The byproduct is what you get. But there's every brand has an experience, and attached to that experience is an emotion. So when you do tap into your ideal market and you do create all the brand consistency, now you have the opportunity to attract the right audience. And the goal here is to turn a client into a loyal client, into a fan. And eventually, if you love it, then now that person becomes a brand ambassador, and there's sort of a spillover effect. So they tell their friends and so forth. So, and that's really what is your goal in accomplishing building your brand, is attracting that ideal client,
Yeah, but what if, so you're saying that, you're saying that the brand will build the ideal client.
No, you have to build the brand, but know who your ideal client is. So if your neighborhood is filled with gravel, but to use your example, I think that a landscaping company is a perfect example, but understanding who you're targeting. So for instance, if you're going after these gravel, you might have a different approach. It may not be grass and all that. It might be you want to approach it a different way. Maybe you're selling.
I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just saying, in my opinion, or from my marketing background, the target market comes first, and then you build your brand to attract that target,
because it's your business. That's you who you are. If you have a business, that represents your passion, your purpose.
We have for the first time ever an honest disagreement on the Dan Jourdan show.
Yeah.
Well,
sell me, baby. I'm ready to go. Tell me.
I don't know if I can do that, Dan, but I'll try.
Tell me how.
I have confidence in you, Lisa.
Yes, we
do. You can do it. It's his show, but I have the buttons. So
I want you to tell me and the car buying public the importance and the necessity of a personal brand. And I will shut up.
Now, personal brand. You just switch from a business brand to personal brand. There are commonalities there, but everyone, if we're talking personal brand, we jumped over to personal brand. You realize that's why I want to make sure.
So it's not the same thing. This is new to me. Personal brand is someone like you and I. We have our own, and you too, Chris. We we have our own style, approachability, energy. All of the experiences people have about us, that is really what your brand is. As a personal brand, we carry that with us every day. So I don't know if I'm really addressing your question, but you mentioned personal brand when we were talking about landscapers. I always thought that those two were the same thing.
They are similar, because branding has to do with identifying who you are, what your message is, who your audience is, and all of those steps in order to attract and the problems that you solve. So a personal brand, in this particular case, you and I both are business owners, so that we represent a company. You have a company as well. So, but us as individuals, this is the experience people have with us. And bringing that story to the table, I think that's the last that's like the icing. That's what creates the value in building relationships and why people want to work with you. I think the personal brand is not something to overlook. I think it's really important, because we're still going to sales. We are selling ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So personal brand and business brand, let's call it. I'm sure there's a better word, buzzword for that. But here's what happens a lot for me. I have a personal brand. I totally agree with that. And there are, it's not like I'm trying to build my personal brand. I'm just building myself, and so
Right.
that's part of that. There's lots of people that I meet throughout the course. Personally, I will meet them, not in a situation like we're in right now. This is obviously a business that I have doing podcasting, but personally, they'll find out. It'll just kind of come out in a conversation. Oh, you do this. This is your business, and they are now interested in the business. So the personal brand has led.
We cannot be we can't be all things for all people. I'm talking with you, and you and I connect because we're clearly in media and we have similar interests. But if you're talking to someone that just doesn't need your services, we cannot be everything to all people, but we can be all things for the right person. And especially if we're talking to the one person that, that has a business or has a personal brand or has the need, but they don't understand how to create the tools. And that's really what we do. So kind of jumping back to Street Studio, I have a team. We break it down. We find out what the budget is, what the goals are, what you've been doing that's working and what's not working. And by the way, marketing has changed, and refreshing your brand we feel that that's really important. And I use an analogy that is sort of like and changing your hair or putting on a new outfit or putting on something fresh gives you a fresh attitude and it attracts people. Your brand is an experience. It's definitely more of the soul of your business, where the marketing is the engine. Remember we talked about that, Dan, but you want to talk about that analogy? So that was a separate.
Well, you mentioned tools. What are some of the tools you were talking about?
Tools in marketing.
In refreshing your brand.
Okay, so refreshing your brand might be looking at it. Most of the time we start at a website, because often websites are one and done, and they should never be one and done. We're going through a refresh right now. So you're looking at our website, but we're adding some video and we're creating some different targeted messages and some new CTAs. So the CTA call to action. So looking at a website, especially one that's been sitting stagnant for 5 years or 3 years or even 2 years, looking at the messaging and making sure that you are creating messaging that's targeted, and having objectives on the website. So we start with websites. So crafting messaging is really important. Putting tools on the website in order to capture leads. Those leads get funneled. Like right now, you're seeing a pop-up. Dan, do you recognize that pop-up?
It's
Active Campaign. So
I'm actually frozen right now.
Okay, really?
But
sorry.
It's okay.
I love the word brandstorm.
Thank you.
Did you trademark that?
I can't trademark it because it's used by, it's not a, now I've trademarked Street Studio and Street Studio Creative.
Sure.
And obviously that's trademarked, but Brandstorm, I could put a TM on it, but I'll be challenged because I've seen it in other places. We just use it. And we try to use, I don't want to get too kitschy. I mean, I like using kitschy stuff, but I didn't use this word yet, but I want you to go back to the top of that website. Sorry. This is really important for when we talk to clients. Leveling up and elevating brands means crafting messaging, creating brands that are cohesive across social media, email marketing, event marketing. I didn't mention that. And we do event marketing, event activations. Creating the brand experience that is cohesive is really important. And why? So Dan, you're asking me why, right? Is he still frozen? He must still be frozen.
It looks like he's still frozen. Oh,
okay.
He's out.
It's okay, but I'm answering the question of why. The cohesion and the brand consistency builds trust. People who see you and see it and who are looking to engage with you, or maybe they've already engaged, but they want to see what you look like on your social media platform, or what you look like in your email marketing, or how you communicate your business. Maintaining that consistency builds trust. You know that, and then also then we're getting into relationships. So maybe that's the key thing too, is I'm really proud in what we built with Street Studio, and that I feel like we are a connector of with other people. So I do a lot of referrals. I do a lot of referrals with other colleagues. So I think that there's an experience that you get with me personally and with Street Studio that that really is our differentiator.
Well, I've eaten at McRae's Tavern here in Lawrenceville,
Yeah, you're looking at
Georgia,
all of our
so-
clients.
right?
We're
And
working on
so-
a project for Scott McRae right now. It is Perry Street Chop House. It's in Lawrenceville, so that's a new brand. All of the marketing and branding, really, it's all of the brand messaging is what we're working on for him. So, and his brother Randy McRae, we did Max Chop House and Max Market. So we're really proud to have partnered with some really significant restaurants. My husband owns 7 Acre Bar and Grill in Milton, and he's a partner there and a concept developer. We did all the marketing for that. But restaurants are only a piece of what we do. I just don't want to get caught up on the restaurant side, because we really do work with lawyers. We're working with insurance companies. Marsh is a big national brand that we're working with. And so we do cross other industries.
And there's multiple packages here.
Yes.
And so if I'm a business, not a restaurant, if I'm a business,
restaurant.
is
Be a
it,
startup.
do you do a complete done for you, or is it a la
can offer
carte?
that.
It's both.
Actually,
type of
good
deal?
question. We decided to move into the packages because it streamlined the process, and it also identified our price points. And however, if I'm talking to a startup restaurant, I would put them in a startup category versus, let's say, an insurance company that's getting ready to open multiple locations. They have already evolved, but they need the tools in order to begin a more robust marketing system, for example. I don't want me to generalize, but you've got 2 different types of client. And of course, then if we're talking to a corporate client, they have different needs, and they also might have larger budgets. So we're respectful to the industry category. However, we try to maintain the same sort of standard in terms of our pricing. We just try to put them in tiers based on the need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so when you have somebody that's a prospective, prospect, and maybe it's an inbound call, and it looks like we've got Dan to add here to the mix. Welcome back.
Oh my God, I missed you so much.
Oh God, yeah, it was going off the rails here. I figured, Dan, what happened was this is what you get for working on a holy day. So
that's it.
Oh,
that's what you get.
Holy moly, it's my turn next.
That's it. I'm here at Rome, and today happens to be a gift to Rome members day, and so they have a big banquet of all sorts of food and all this stuff out. You see how it all just happened. Anyhow,
so you took a break to go get something to eat?
That's right.
Okay.
What is that about?
Some bacon.
We were actually talking. The show got really
you and I
good.
are both. Listen, I have to throw this in. You know what makes both of us, Dan? We're both bacon-loving Jews, and I do own that domain name, by the way.
Oh, do you? Bacon-loving Jews?
How about Brandstorm Bacon-loving Jews?
No, I don't want to mix the two.
Okay.
It's
Listen,
okay.
Listen, I was just trying to brainstorm.
Because that's not my niche.
Okay.
It's your niche. Okay. Well, listen, niche, did you where your office is right above one of your old clients.
Oh no, one of my current clients.
Can you talk about? I mean, that place has just exploded. I'd love you to talk about that, because it's just a hot dog. It's just a hamburger place, but she transformed it into something special.
Yes, thank you, Dan. And I really feel like I'm how can I explain it? Lucky's Burger and Brew is where our office is in downtown Roswell. I'm a couple blocks from downtown Roswell, historic Roswell. And I'm glad that you mentioned Lucky's, that I consider them our legacy client. When I opened the doors as Street Studio Creative roughly 10 years ago, they were one of our very first clients in the community. And that kind of, I'm kind of going backwards from my own history. I did own a dance fitness studio in Roswell for nearly 5 years. And that was my segue into becoming a marketer and understanding what it takes to build a brand. When that closed, I opened I rebranded and did a refresh with Street Studio Creative, and have really evolved into a small, we consider ourselves a boutique agency. So at being at Lucky's, we have the opportunity. We've created a really big, I don't really want to go off on a whole thing about Lucky's, but I really feel like I'm part of
tell us
the
Lucky's story about Lucky's.
I'm hungry now.
We want to hear the story.
I smell the fries downstairs as it's lunchtime. The story is they're right there. The owners, Ernie and Diane Geyer, had an idea he was a restaurant builder for 20 years. He's built big restaurants in Atlanta. He is a builder. They opened Lucky's. He bought the property here in Roswell before it was anything, and he had a dream of opening his own restaurant. And now we just hit our 12-year anniversary. 12 years anniversary. 11 year. God, we just had the anniversary event. I guess it's our 12th year. Yes, 12th year, because next year's is Lucky 13. And they just have turned into this like a community-based, dog-friendly place in Roswell, that we have a backyard with a stage, and that's really what we manage. I manage the Street Studio manages most of the events here, so we do have a lot of events. But I don't want to focus so much on Lucky's in that, because
what I'd like to focus on, please, because this is to help you. It really is.
Oh, okay.
How you took something that was just ordinary and
made it extraordinary. I'll tell you why. Because they understood their brand values, and we were very consistent with how we created and communicated that they hit a home run with the concept. They connect with the community. They connect with dog-loving people. Everybody loves a burger and a beer. Those were simple values, and they have not deviated from that. And because of that, they've grown the brand. And as their marketing company, it actually made it very easy, because we didn't have to struggle with trying to reinvent things. They were consistent. And I think that that's really the message here about a business, is once you identify your core audience, who you are, what you do, and how you connect with people, they have become what I call and I learned this through Marty Neuminger, who is a brand genius. I follow a lot of his philosophy. They have created what's called a charismatic brand. Like you, Dan, you are a charismatic brand. You attract people. You are sincere. You have all the characteristics and you don't deviate from that. And you're not going to be the brand for everybody. You might be just like me. I'm energetic too. I still teach dance. I still teach dance after 40 years, dance fitness. My energy level is still an aerobic instructor from San Francisco in the 80s. And I did MTV videos. That's my energy. And so that's not for everybody, but it's for somebody. Who wrote that? Kristen Alley wrote a book called You're Not For Everyone, but You're For Someone. And I love that. I've said her name twice in this, so you can have her on the podcast.
What has been the results to Lucky Burgers?
Oh my God.
From when they, not about their brand, what's been their, I guess, business results? Business.
They've grown, they've exploded. I mean, I'm looking at the parking lot right now. Although it's a beautiful day, it's packed. So they have got, they did it right, and they did it slow grow. They did it and watched their numbers and made sure that they were consistent. And so I'm really proud to be part of.
And so if someone's consistently giving off the same message about who they are, and how they do business, and then living that brand, they will achieve the results similar to Lucky Burger.
Yes, but they use a lot of tools as well. So there's between their social, and this is what we do for clients. Once we identify who your target market is and what your message is, and especially when we put promotions in place, we didn't even discuss that. Lucky's does a lot of events. Their events attract a lot of people. There's management that was required. There's email marketing and social media marketing, and there's branded graphics. So once you identify once you're ready at the point of, after you've built the brand, you've got your sales tools in place, and you're ready to market, we look at the best optimal opportunities to market. Often it's social media, but it really depends on the client. It might be, if it's social media, it might be LinkedIn for businesses, not Instagram and TikTok and Reels and all of that. It really depends on what's your message, who's your audience, and where are they? You go to where they are. And then you create leads. There's your lead funnels. There's your call to actions that come into your landing page that creates, okay, good. I'm glad you landed on my Instagram page. It's really good. I'm really proud of what we've created. And I have to say, sorry, I jumped over to this because I saw our Instagram page. I will say skip on, well, that one is, that's actually Ashlyn's home, but I want to give credit to my team, Ashlyn and Kira. This is my director and project manager. So I'm going to say skip past that one because I'd rather, or look at the grid, if you don't mind, Chris. Go back, there you go, and scroll down. Kira especially, because she's been responsible for activating our internal marketing. And there's a lot of content on here with really valuable messaging. And so our goal here with our Instagram is to create to create information and continuous and continuity in our brand messaging.
And you do this for your clients too?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So when if someone were to use you, they could expect to have something like this.
Absolutely. But we have those in different packages. When you were off having your sandwich or whatever, the bagel with lox, I'm sure, right? We were talking about packages. And so one of the packages, now that's a good one. This is a good example. Very good. I'm glad you landed on that because that was a promotion that we just did with the chamber, through the North Fulton Chamber. And they had a women in wine event. So we were a partner. And this is a good example. We created the collateral for it. The collateral is the print. We did the brand messaging. This was a campaign that we did. We did this campaign for ourselves. However, we do this all the time for clients. Develop a campaign, develop the strategy behind it, and then put together the tools. The tools might be email marketing, social media marketing, lead generation, reels, videos, and so forth. So yeah, see, we were a partner, but that's okay. And then we created this graphic. So that's the graphic that was branded to this particular event.
Well, that's excellent. So really, even smaller companies can do this and appear bigger than they are.
Very good. So Dan, let's jump on that for a moment. And we do work with smaller companies that maybe don't have the budgets to do the full build out on their social media. We can scale it back and present them with a strategy that might consist of writing their messaging. Let's say we do grids all the time, their calendars. Write the messaging, and then we turn it over to them and let their internal teams do the posting or do the activations. So you
do the copy also?
Yeah, the content. So all the content so there's different levels. If you turned to me, Dan, and said, I need a team to manage all of this, write the copy, put the images, do the videos, X, Y, Z, we would then present it to you for approval, and then we can activate it. Or we can write it and turn it over to your team with, and we have a whole system in which we do that. So yes, we can handle that. And really, again, the goal, understanding your audience, brand consistency, especially on social media. I cannot stress that enough. And having a strategy behind it. I have people coming to us all the time that say, I need TikTok. Okay, I'm just using that as an example because it's trendy right now. Really, you need TikTok. Let's dial it back. Who's your audience? What's your message? What are you trying to accomplish? What is your strategy? Because if TikTok doesn't fall into that, then we're not going to recommend that. But if it turns out that
if that's not where your audience is,
Yeah, we
Right.
get that all the time. Hey, I want to do a podcast because podcasting's hot. It's sort
Right.
of like,
Hot.
pick the needle up off the record, and
Right.
let's talk about how we do this. Let me ask you this,
That's a
if I
perfect
could,
example,
Lisa.
Chris. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah. So you obviously have done this for how many years?
You're seeing my age now.
No. This
been,
speaks to experience. This is helping you.
Okay, it's very good. I mean, I started as a designer in San Francisco, and I can't.
I'm talking about street studio creative. How
creative.
long is
Okay, it's 10 years.
10
but
years.
I have been a designer since the mid 80s.
Okay, now you're aging yourself.
Yeah,
yes, I know.
Since Teddy Roosevelt.
So what? In the history of street studio creative. What has been the most, because you're obviously super passionate about this, what has been the most rewarding campaign that you've done?
Oh, I don't know about campaign. I can't, because I don't know if I can pinpoint, but I can tell you the rewarding part of why I do this. Can I answer it that way? Because it's really hard.
You can answer it any way you want.
It's really hard because honestly,
that's just people don't realize, Christone. They could just lie. I mean, nobody would know.
Yes.
Just tell me it was.
Can I be honest with you?
Like Amazon.
No, you can't.
I did this brand. Google needed new colors, and I took. That was the most rewarding.
Oh, was that rewarding?
Actually, that's a good point. I could lie.
Yes,
but don't.
Yeah.
I will tell
not
you.
on the holiest of days.
Yeah,
do not do
on
that.
Right.
On the day of atonement.
That's right.
So Chris, to answer your question, what has been the most rewarding? If you just said that I'm obviously passionate about what I do. We make a difference in our clients' expectations. Our goal is always to exceed expectations, but when we see results, when we create a brand that didn't exist, and I'll use an example, Max Chop House in Marietta Square. We designed the logo, we did all the branding, we did all the grand opening, and we turned the tools over. They have an internal team, so they handle all the marketing. But when we drove up to Marietta Square and I saw their logo painted on the side of the wall, giant, and I mean, it's like it hits you in the face. That was the biggest win. When we see our clients come back to us and say, wow, there we go. We would never have had the vision of this. Bayou Q was the same way, and they're in Roswell. They came to us with a logo and I'm sorry I hope I'm not going to be offending anyone. They came to us for a logo that they got on $99 whatever, and it had no brand charisma about it. And we took it back, and we had to do some selling there, and really because it stretched their budget. But we wanted to create, their goal was to create a charismatic brand that was scalable. So this was their first location, and we decided to, and we pitched it, and they bought it. And they are a successful restaurant on Canton Street, and they got a giant sign with our logo that we created on it. And when I'm down I drive by it every day because I drive by it to go home. I'm like, it's the most rewarding feeling to have made a difference in our client, and every client. We get that. We get it all.
And it's long lasting too. If you think about it, think about it that way,
legacy.
They're not buying it for one day and then it gets used up and then you throw it out like a washing machine.
Sometimes campaigns are that way. But campaigns we try to monetize. We try to use analytics, and you're using data, and you're trying to justify it, ROI and all. So that campaigns are a little bit different, but putting the creative, really we are creatives and strategists. That boils down to what makes Street Studios so unique. That is our core. That speaks to who we are. We're designers, creatives, and then we're strategists. So we put this together. So campaigns might be thrown away.
Yeah.
But not all campaigns.
Well, let me ask you this, branding and marketing expert. Do you have a testimonial from that guy at Max?
You want me to call him? I can ask.
Yeah. Do you have a testimonial from Lucky Dog people?
Yes, I do. It is on our website. Actually, thank you. We are putting new testimonials on our website because that's part of our.
Are they video testimonials?
No, but I love that. Get it. I'll do that. I'll pin some people down, and
What's that other company that you just said that has a logo similar to Max?
Oh, Bayou Q. But I'm really also thinking about, we're just wrapping up Scott McRae's.
Bayou Q. I'm
Bayou
saying this
Q.
because Chris Stone is the world's best producer, and you just have to mention something just offhanded, and he will figure out a way to get it up there.
Do it, please. I would like to showcase Scott McRae at Perry Street Chop House. It's opening later this month or next month.
Perry Street Chop
House.
That's in the Ville. That's in Lawrenceville.
It's in
That's down the
Lawrenceville.
street.
And we've just finished up all the branding. So he's in the process of opening, and it's going to be a stunning.
Well, is it on his website
I was going to
already?
say we need to work on SEO, because
Yes.
all I'm getting is Facebook pages and.
Yes, that's not me. We're not handling the website. He has an internal team, and I don't mean to call them out. They do a great job.
I know, but we want to show. I wanted to show some of your
PerryStreetChophouse.com.
I wanted to show some of your.
Yes, you can see the logo there. PerryStreetChophouse.com. I'm pulling it up on my iPad to make sure I'm getting it straight as well.
Okay.
So,
well, I think you said you're doing the yoga shop. Are you working with a yoga studio now?
I know you mentioned yoga, and I just chimed in because that fitness was my. I work with.
Here one last question, because this is important.
Yes.
So let's say many people will open up a restaurant or a yoga shop because they do yoga and they're a good cook and something like that, and so they could get a store and they could be mildly successful or successful enough with them being the face of the place. How do you transfer people coming to my shop because of me versus people coming to the shop because it's developed that brand of excellence?
Well, you are definitely having the charisma and driving people because of you, but having the marketing tools in place, so you are now targeting your audience and driving them there, and then having promotions. It becomes sort of a cyclical thing.
Yeah, I think that's important. So one really can't scale. Really can't get multiple locations unless the business itself has the brand.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that is 100%. It's one thing if you're the figure face of a brand, let's say, pick any brand, but scaling requires having tools in place, having all of the brand elements in place, and then picking a marketing, whatever the marketing solution is, and being consistent about that. So.
That's excellent.
Yes.
All right, Brandstormer. So we've got a couple of comments here. We've told everybody not to be chicken. And,
I can't see the comments.
I'll bring them up on the screen. So
okay.
So here we go. This is from Brian. The solution is to do what you do best. Outsource.
That's my ex-husband.
All right. Amazing.
My husband.
Micromanaging is often the beginning of the end of a small business viability. The resources for outsourcing your small business needs are plentiful.
Why did you divorce this guy? He seems like a great guy.
Friends. He's the good ex. My husband is
he's the good ex.
That whole my husband mix is on there as well. I think I saw his message, but I think to Brian's point, this is a very good point. Learning to delegate. So that means letting go. That means understanding what your strengths are. Dan, your strengths are X, Y, and Z. Sales Energizer, reaching audiences and activating teams. But your weakness might be creating brand messages or putting email marketings together and so forth. So
I can give you a lot of weaknesses if you need some.
That's right.
To refer to.
Very good.
No,
I think I opened the door on that one.
And Chris Stone is obviously charm, good looks, and personality. He's got that going on.
But do you understand the point there?
Yes,
that we all at having the ability to be a business leader and delegating, and especially we work with marketing departments. We don't just work with the owners of businesses. When we work with large businesses, we might be working directly with the marketing department. We become an outsourced arm for them to support them. So we're very familiar with working as a support team for businesses, but it takes the owner or the leader to recognize that they can't do everything. Micromanaging is impossible. You'll go nowhere. So I appreciate his comment.
You see that? You know, that people always ask, and when I say always, I mean never. But, you know, why do you have an hour-long show on Wednesdays, you know? And the reason is sometimes you got to go 55 minutes to get the golden nugget. And that's exactly it, Lisa Raquel Weltsch. I mean, the fact is that you can't scale unless you have a brand, and you can't, increase your time, but you can't. What is that? Oh, we're dropping the mic.
Dropping the mic.
Yes, you're exactly getting there. That's so right. So how does somebody reach you if they want to get a hold of you?
Well, clearly on our website, all of our contact. We have a contact page. It's on the website. Might be the easiest way to reach me. We get emails all the time. We are offering a 360 overview of your social media. So we have a little bit of a promotion going on. If you reach out to me, especially if you mention the show or mention Dan or Chris or something, we'll tell you more about that.
The Chris Stone discount.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to call it a discount, but we are offering something right now. It's a 360.
I've always wanted a discount.
The Chris Stone value.
It's been a dream of mine. Scratch and Sniff, running a Scratch and Sniff campaign and having my own name be a discount.
God, that's so crazy. I mean, Scratch and Sniff. Yeah, but I will say that. Let me finish on this one note because this thing is really important. Okay. It's the final quarter. We're getting ready for Q1. This is when the planning needs to take place, and your budgets that need to be established for next year. And that's our goal: is getting in front of clients or getting in front of prospects to talk about their planning for next year. So this is the time to do that now.
Well, I agree, and listen, when you're the Deej, every day is New Year's. If you think about it, I mean, today, this is actually the New Year's. It's the Day of Atonement. This is a wonderful thing because it's actually a killer thing that Jews do. And
don't say that.
Why? I mean, it's a
killer things.
Oh, come on.
Use your words.
It's a good thing that Jews do. And it has the Rosh Hashanah, which is the New Year's. And then you have 10 days to call everybody and apologize for all the awful things you've done throughout the year. And then on this day, you fast and you basically what it is you think about last year and then you think about the things you can improve for next year. And
so think about that in terms of your business for next year. That's perfect.
Yes, it would have been more perfect if you didn't interrupt me right during the close, but I appreciate it. I know, we all get the sentiment, and this is what happens. This is what happens when a bunch of Jews get together. They interrupt each other and steal the highlights. But
can we both?
I can't think of a better way to begin the new year than to spend it with my friend Lisa Weltsch. I really appreciate you. And Chris Stone, once again, able to withstand anything that one throws at him. A true professional in the world of podcasting. If anybody's thinking about getting started, want to do anything like that, you got to call Chris Stone. He works with the top people in the field and throws me in there just as a little throwaway. So I'm telling you with all sincerity, both of these two people that I get the pleasure of working with today are making my life better. I wish nothing for all you people out there watching. Wish nothing but good things to happen to you. Drink coffee from South.
No, ask for our mug.
If you
I'll send you a mug if you ask for a mug. It's our mug
with
shot.
the show discount.
Yeah, with the Chris Stone. The Chris Stone value.
That's the best discount there is.
Yeah, I will get you one, Chris.
And one of these days, you're going to be able to finish the show.
I know. I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your life. Eat well, live long, and prosper, and just go get them today.
Go get them.
Thanks, Dave. my God, are you going to kill me?
No, I think it was great. It was great.
I lost the